Now, there's a worrying trend of how road traffic crashes involving motorcycles have killed 440 and injured 2,080 commuters in the first half of 2020. The figures from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, indicates that motorcycle crashes recorded a 12.98% increase between January and June this year. There is more in this News Desk report.
According to the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service, there's been 2,553 motorcycle crashes in Ghana between January and June. 2,080 were injured and 440 people were killed. The crashes show a 12.98% increase within the same period last year.
Everyone is against Okada. But the thing is, if it's a motor accident, it's not only motors that get accident normally in Accra here. You have been seeing cars too having accident, and depending on what, on the driver or the rider. Because if you are careful, I don't think you will get an accident. It's your roughness that will bring the accident. But the most aspect is the drivers. Most of them are the drivers, the car drivers, especially the taxi and then the Uber drivers. Yeah, because it's like we are having that kind of we are having some problem together that I don't know the AVRs. So anytime we are in the middle going, or even you blow horn, but you see him, he's trying to turn his steer to you, even not to overtake you, just to cross you. You see, so that's why. Normally, you'll be hearing that Okada riders, they've been breaking a cars. It's not like if I'm in the middle person, you are trying to block me, I'm giving you horn about 5 times, and you are not, meaning you want to kill me. So I'll do whatever I can do, then I'll pass by.
So what do you think?
Okay, with the cause of the accident, is like most of the drivers don't take their time for us on the distance because they have in mind that riders are not to use road, so like they need to take their time for us. And also most of the motor riders too don't take their time during riding, so it's also the cause of accident. So I think if the government can come in and then make a law so that we the motor riders too we can make use the road appropriately.
Actually, what will prevent the accident is they should try to repair the traffic lights, those who are spoiled. They should try and repair them back. And then as we riders too, some of us too, my advice to the riders, they have to be careful. You understand? They have to be careful with the riding. And then the car owners too, especially the taxi drivers, they have to be very, very careful too. Because sometimes too, it's not only the motor riders. The taxi drivers too, they are also riding careless. So my prayer is that everybody drive safely.
But will everybody ride safely? Let's have a conversation, see how people on the streets riding motorbikes think and how our national program seeks to address that. Joining us for that conversation via Zoom is Daniel Waku, who is the Deputy Director Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority. Mr. Waku, good afternoon to you. I think you're muted. If you'll unmute, we can continue the conversation. Great. So with this latest statistic, what does the National Road Safety Authority make of it?
Thank you very much. It's a disturbing news or statistics. These are human lives we are talking about. These are fellow Ghanaians we are talking about. These are people who could be your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, or our relatives. So it's very disturbing. And as a body, with the mandate to organize and coordinate activities as far as road safety is concerned, and now that we have even attained our authority status, it's a news that should worry the National Road Safety Authority, and we are really much worried. In fact, if you want the statistics for the first half of the year, almost all the other indices, like the number of cases, the number of commercial vehicles, the number of private vehicles that are involved, the number of total vehicles that are even involved, the number of pedestrian knockdowns, the number of people killed, and the number of persons injured. They've all seen negative reductions or reductions as against last year. Yeah. It's only in the case of motorcycles that we have seen a huge, I would say a huge increase, that as much as 12%, almost 13% increment against last year.
And I want to find out, have you figured out, because I'm sure that these statistics are already available to you, have you figured out why?
I think that with the advent of the COVID-19 and its lockdown situation, or its the slowdown in economic activities and human movement, vehicle movement, I think that a lot of it's a new area that we are observing is deliveries by motorcycles.
Right.
People are no longer moving out, but they can be in the comfort of their zones and order for food, for groceries, for other materials.
Practically everything you can order.
Practically everything now. That's a new development that is going on nationally, even globally. So that could be a reason. Also, if you observe, because of the lockdown and the restrictions as that came with the COVID-19, the National Road Safety Authority was also not able to go out to undertake their usual outreach programs, educational programs, engagement programs with these people. So that could also be a factor. But most importantly, it's a human factor, and that I'll place under the feet of the motor riders themselves. There is a rule, a law that governs the use of the road. If you watch, we are all witnesses to the fact that it's as if the motor riders in this country, especially those of us in the southern zone, it's as if the traffic lights are not for them. They never stop at the traffic light. We are all witnesses to it, which is wrong in the first place. We are supposed to be law-abiding citizens. We must comply. We must be compliant to the laws of this land. This law is not a law that was passed by the National Road Safety Authority, but it was passed by the Parliament of Ghana, and therefore we must also come to this law and observe it.
So I just want to find out, one
area.
Okay, please go ahead.
That's just one area of it. Now, secondly, listening to the explanation being given by one of the respondents on earlier on the show. He said when they are trying to overtake the vehicle, when they are trying to move in the middle of the road and all that, the Uber drivers and the taxi drivers don't give them way and they block them and all that. The position of the motor rider on the road is not the middle of the road. That is not where they are supposed to ride. They are supposed to ride in the middle of the lane in which you are moving. You are supposed to ride just like a vehicle is positioned in the middle of the lane. That's what they are supposed to do. It's only when they have to overtake a vehicle or a slower moving vehicle, that's when they have to maneuver just like any other vehicle.
Yeah.
But you see, a number of these riders are not licensed. So they do not have any formal education, any formal training as far as riding motorcycles is concerned. It is an area currently that is not regulated. It is an area even which is outlawed. So anybody that even gets money and is able to buy a motorbike learns how to move the
drivers. So I just want us to focus on diagnosing the problem, and then we get the solution. Then we call it a day on this conversation. So first of all, you kept saying that, it could be. So you talk about the deliveries, and you say that could be a reason for the number of crashes we're seeing. You talk about human nature. You talk about the inability for your people, for example, to go out with your outreach programs. and education programs, and then the licensing regime. Is there a scientific work that the National Road Safety Commission or Authority has done or intends to do to give you exactly what the cause or what the root of the problem is? That's my last but one question, and I have a final one for you when you're done with that.
Currently, there's no scientific study that has been conducted by the National Road Safety Authority. It's something that we are considering a number of studies, and this is one of them, but we have not yet commenced a study into the causes of motorcycle crashes and fatalities or other casualties. It's something that's on our table that we are going to consider very soon, maybe towards the latter part of the year and all that. Because
in that case,
so we must have an in-depth study into what actually is the case.
I understand. In that case, is there a plan to deal with these concerns that you have, or this list that you have just given me as the root cause for the crashes, the increase, about 12 or 13% increase in crashes, motorcycle crashes that we've seen?
On the part of the National Road Safety Authority, we are all aware that road safety is a multi-sectorial area. The National Road Safety Authority is the one in charge of road safety education and all that. DVLA is in charge of the registration and then the licensing of the riders, and the police are the ones in charge of the enforcement of the laws. So my appeal is to all these stakeholders to be able to deliver on their side of the obligation of our mandate. The National Road Safety Authority is gradually coming back into the landscape where with our educational and our sensitization programs. We are gradually coming back onto the road safety landscape. We are using the medium of the media. We are using minimal one-on-one interaction because we still have the COVID-19 scare around us. So these are some of the measures that we are taking place. But with the attainment of the authority status, very soon we are going to be issuing compliance notices to some of these institutions that provide services as far as road safety is concerned, or that are supposed to provide input into the provision of road safety in the country. If we are able to scientifically or verify that they are not providing their side of the bargain, the National Road Safety Authority has the authority now, the mandate now, to take them on and provide compliance notices for them to comply with what their mandate allows them to do.
I sincerely hope that talking to people from the National Road Safety Authority every now and then here on this show and on our other platforms will also be a part of the solution to the problem. Mr. Worku, thank you very much for your time.
Because we want to use this medium to educate the general public also.
Right, hopefully.
For example, as today I said, the position of the motorcycle is not the middle line.
Yeah. When
they are riding, it's supposed to be in the middle of the lane in which you are moving.
Okay, that's education for me as well. So thank you very much for that. Daniel Worku is the Deputy Director, Planning and Programs, National Road Safety Authority.